promoted to Chief Operating Officer in 2011. Prior to joining Riverbanks, he was the Director of Sales and Marketing for Six Flags Over Georgia Theme Park, Six Flags Whitewater Water Park, and the American Adventures Family Entertainment Center. There, he was responsible for generating more than 3 million annual visitors and 12 million in annual admissions and sponsorship revenue. He's also had other roles at Six Flags Great Escape, as well as with Paramount Parks. He's active in the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, as well as several other organizations pertaining to their industry. He's a past member of the Columbia Metropolitan Convention and Visitors Bureau Board and the Atlanta Convention and Tourism Board. In addition, he served on the board of advisors for Palmetto Health's Camp Chemo and is currently on the board of the River Alliance and the Midlands Business Leadership Group. Would you please join me in welcoming Tommy?
Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you guys. What a great group. I realized as I was walking in that the sponsors here are probably some of our biggest donors and sponsors. So I too want to thank the sponsors of today's event for all the support that you guys have given Riverbanks Zoo and Garden over the years. And I believe it's about every one of them too. So I'm grateful for those as well. Outstanding community partners, no doubt. I had an opportunity to speak to the Columbia Rotary not too long ago, and I know there are about half a dozen of you in here that saw this same presentation, so please don't spoil my jokes if I hear that. Sean, it's good seeing you. I got to spend some time with Sean on the Camp Chemo board of advisors for years, and I always had a high respect for you, and glad to see you here as well. Before we get started, I always try to start the presentation off with some kind of fun animal video, and this one some of you may have seen about 2 years ago. It's called Gorillas in the Rain, and it had a little, pretty massive, I think 1.5 to 2 million hits on social media. Same group of gorillas that just recently you may have seen do the slide, which is probably my second favorite. But thought I'd start off by showing this quick video, but pay attention to Sinzu. He's our silverback. You'll see him in the back. He's trying to get out of the rain. And you think that they're used to this.
Acacia's making a run for it.
I don't know what they do in Africa when it rains, but one of our keepers, that usually when it's raining or there's a thunderstorm, will open the door for them to get back into their back areas, and took a video of this, and I had to laugh because just see them try to escape the rain was priceless. Like everyone else, coming out of COVID, we too struggled just like a lot of you did. We had about 342 line employees that we had to let go during that period of time, which is really tough. Ones that we trained hard to give the best guest satisfaction that we could give when you showed up. And to date, things have rebounded pretty well. Unfortunately, in the hospitality industry, those of you who are in it know that that's not the choice, it seems, anymore for a lot of the kids coming out of school. So we've hired back about 250 of the 340 that we had to let go. So we're still struggling trying to get staffing back, but we're doing the best we can do by wearing multiple hats. So when you come visit, hopefully you'll see our line speed pick up a little bit as we continue, adding staffing And if we can keep them, if anybody's got any clues how to keep them once we have them, then please let me know. We don't have that one figured out as well too. On the positive side though, of this COVID hangover, and that's what it feels like, we saw spending trends change a little bit. The attendance levels started getting back to normal pre-COVID levels, which we do about 1.2 million in attendance a year. Our highest was pre-COVID was about 1.4 million, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But the per person spending went up. So it seems like those that were cooped up for the year, a year and a half, or however long it felt, were spending a little more money than what was traditionally spent in the park. So that was a positive sign. So having that additional revenues helped us overcome some of the invoices and bills to pay for some of these animals that eat a lot. Prior to the pandemic in 2020, we had worked on a new master plan. In 2011, 2012, that was the last period of time where we had a incredible bond gifted to us from both Lexington and Richland County Council members. And that obviously affected you guys because being taxpayers, a little bit of your taxes go to support the zoo and the garden. And that's so critical for us as we continue to grow the zoo. And we thought the period of time for the next 10 years needed to look like, I would say with my theme park background, we wanted to take it up another level to a SeaWorld, almost a Disney is look with a lot more attractions, some newer animals, and expand the campus. If you've been to the zoo recently, on the zoo side, we've about tapped out on the Richland County side, and the place we thought to grow would be over across the bridge and through the river and up to the garden. That whole hillside, for those of you that have ever walked that hill or taken the tram, it's a great opportunity for us to expand and to look at some new habitat that we can put animals on the side of the hill, and it would give us a whole different experience. Zoo side's pretty flat, but garden side's got a steep terrain, and being able to look out and see the river and see animals at the same time was our goal. In addition to that, the river started becoming the popular place for investing. As you all know, the Riverwalk, River Alliance, and the new sidewalk that was designed and built behind the zoo had opened up. So we were looking for a way to bring the river in to focus more. You come to Riverbanks, most of the time you don't even know there's a river back there. So we looked at trying to bridge, and you see behind me, the Bridge to the Wild was the new campaign that we came up with to look at a way to expose the river, both sides of the river, to get people across the bridge, and not only just to see the garden, but also find a way to add some animal exhibits on the walk as you go, so that the walk was enjoyable, and some of the new animals that we would add would give a whole new perspective to what we were trying to do. It also involved transportation. We try to figure out how we can get more people back and forth. If you've tried to take the train on busy days, it's quite a wait. So we wanted to make sure we could figure out how to get people back and forth in an expedient manner. So we put this video together in March of 2020, and we were ready to roll it out to the public and ready to show it to the county council and ask for a yuan to help fund it. We had our private sector lined up for donations, and we internally regenerate a lot of the money that we have in place in the campus. So we were ready to go when somebody called and said, this COVID thing's moving pretty fast from the West Coast, and it's going to take about a year to get here, so you might want to hurry up. And 2 weeks later, we were closed. So we put this master plan on hold, and promised that when things got better, we would get back out and start promoting what it looks like to give you a vision. So here we are, fast forward, we pressed the play button again, and out trying to give people an idea of what kind of the next 10 years look like and what the zoo can be. So we have a little video that I hope you'll enjoy. It'll tell you a little bit more about the plan.
My favorite thing about the zoo is seeing animals, and sometimes we can feed them.
For nearly 50 years, Riverbanks Zoo and Garden has been feeding a love of nature.
I distinctly remember going to camps. The one thing that I really remember is going in with the Galapagos tortoises and seeing, when you're like 3-4 feet tall and you see one of those things, you're just in awe of how big they are. And that was amazing to me, and I knew I wanted to work with animals.
It's a point of pride for those of us who live here and call Columbia, called the Midlands, this region, home. It's a point of, I think, opportunity for us to draw in people from other regions and show off what we have here.
A jewel in the heart of South Carolina, the Zoo and Garden has become vital to the quality of life in the Midlands.
When I talk about the vibrancy of our community and the sustainability of our community, I think about institutions that help attract and retain talent. I think about institutions that help bring community together. The zoo is an instrument that helps our community foundation build attachment to the place that we call home because of the educational programs it affords, because of the entertaining programs that it affords, and because of the stature.
Among the contributing factors behind Riverbanks' achievement has been the periodic investment of capital funds. This support has solidified the Zoo and Garden's reputation as a destination attraction.
It's time to continue to add new attractions, new elements, new pieces to the zoo so that it stays fresh and stays world-class and continues to draw people in, because when they come, they spend money at our local restaurants, our local hotels, they go to other attractions in the region, and so we all benefit.
Riverbanks has become an enormous economic engine in the community, driving revenue and job growth across the Midlands.
The role that the zoo plays is important on so many different levels. The zoo has traditionally been part of our interview process. We'll often bring people to see the zoo during that interview because we view it as such a huge asset to the community. On a personal level, the zoos provide a real front for us in terms of how we educate our children and how we bring the world to them.
For a teacher to see a student light up, a student that may never have ventured out from their neighborhood, or they don't have the means to travel too far from their neighborhood, to see that, it's wonderful. It warms a teacher's heart. Our third grade standards are about to change, and we're getting ready to, in third grade, incorporate more geography. So I think about not only the kids learning about the animals and their habitats, but where would that animal come from? What does that habitat look like?
Now, Riverbanks is poised to offer even greater opportunities for education, entertainment, and exploration, and enhance its successes as a leader in animal care and wildlife conservation by building a bridge to the wild. Riverbanks' newest innovative vision will create a cohesive connection between the zoo and garden, with this expansion over the river and through the woods. Picture scenic river views from a first-of-its-kind restaurant overlooking a hillside orangutan habitat unlike any other in the world. The banks of the Lower Saluda River will be transformed into a majestic jungle similar to the animal's native habitats found in Southeast Asia. The lush landscape also would be home to other primate species such as siamangs and gibbons. The multifaceted architectural design of the primate forest will feature a variety of naturalistic environments and give the animals an opportunity to traverse various types of terrain through a series of combined climbing structures. Visitors and school children alike will experience wildlife and wild places like never before, while being immersed in nature, geography, and history. Guests will continue their journey through the primate forest along a winding walkway that leads to an all-new South Carolina Nature and History Preserve. Along the preserve's pathway, guests will encounter vibrant valley overlooks and scenic shorelines while passing through the densely wooded trail around the hillside and under an aerial tram. Just a few steps from the Skyway Gondola station, guests can continue their trek through the South Carolina Nature and History Preserve on an awe-inspiring adventure through native habitats. The exhibits will allow guests to learn about and experience some of our region's most endangered and charismatic species including American black bears, golden eagles, and red wolves. From here, guests can follow the South Carolina Trail back to the primate forest or hop on a skyway gondola and soar like an eagle on the exhilarating experience that will offer breathtaking bird's-eye views of the Saluda River and surrounding skylines. Across the river, visitors will be amazed by a zoo-wide makeover that will offer greater opportunities to connect with nature while inspiring imagination and inviting exploration. Highlights of the transformation include an expanded carousel plaza where guests can enjoy sweeping river views or watch zippers as they zoom overhead. The Darnell W. and Susan F. Boyd Aquarium and Reptile Conservation Center that will feature a myriad of stunning habitats and bring to the forefront animal care and conservation efforts taking place at the zoo every day. Plus, a state-of-the-art African lion habitat that will give guests face-to-whiskers encounters with these ferociously fantastic felines.
I encourage those who are thinking about this opportunity to take the bold next step to invest in Riverbanks Zoo, to invest in our community, to invest in our economic future.
Your support would make a huge impact on Riverbanks Zoo by creating more hands-on opportunities for our guests so that they can learn more about our natural world and why it's so important to save it.
To know that we have the Riverbanks Zoo here where kids, where families, where educators can access all the learning that takes place there. We need to protect it. We need to build upon it. We need to continue to partner with schools, partner with the community to keep it going.
You can see why we're excited about what the future can hold. This was half of the master plan, but we felt those were the key components that could take us to the next level. Our goal was to roll this out about 2 years ago and already be under construction. Saw Todd Cease walk in here in the back, and he's one of our architects that may be working on this, but we had 2 years ago said, Todd, how do we get this done quickly? And then COVID hit. Because in 2 years, it'll be our 50th anniversary, and we were hoping all this would be ready to roll by then. We're about 2 years behind, but if we can push it through, we may have a few pieces of this open and ready to go by our 50th anniversary. It takes a couple years to, once we get rolling on some of these projects, to get it completed. So we're still within reach of the 50th anniversary, and in 50 years, we're getting a little bit older. So we have to put a lot of money back into infrastructure as well as to look at some new things that will drive the attendance and revenue and economic impact as well. We have already started with the private dollars and the funding that we have acquired even during COVID. The first part of that master plan involved rhinos. If you haven't been out, it was about mid-COVID we were able to finish that. Was the former elephant yard, is now housing 3 critically endangered white rhinos. Does anybody know why they're called white rhinos by chance? Because they don't look really white, do they? Kind of grayish. It's a Swahili word for wide mouth, that is W-E-I-T, white. And the English kind of mispronounced it and thought it was white rhinos, so they've been known as white rhinos since. So basically they have a wide mouth, and that's what white comes from. And these are the southern white rhinos, and they are as critically endangered as elephants are. Northern white rhinos, there's only 2 left in the world, in Africa, and this population is dwindling quick. But they breed well in human care, so our goal with these rhinos, a male and 2 females, will be hopefully having some good news to share with you sooner than later, and there's nothing cuter than a baby rhino. We also built an exhibit so you can walk out into the middle of the exhibit and kind of get a 360-degree view where the rhinos can encircle you. And that was some of our goals, as to how do we engage guests and get them into the exhibits safely to be able to get different views of it. So that has already opened, so if you hadn't been out, come check that out. The second piece, we were fortunate during COVID, is working with the Boyd Foundation Susan Boyd had an interest in octopus. She just loves octopus, and she asked me one day, do we have octopus in our collection? I said, we used to, but they require a special size tank, and they require, a whole new back area for breeding and such. So she said, well, I'd like to see that happen, and was willing to partner with us and redo the aquarium. Well, the aquarium was probably the biggest exhibit that we had opened back in '95, where it jumped our attendance up almost 500,000 people when it opened up. It's the most popular exhibit within the zoo. And it was getting old as well too, so we were fortunate with their dollars and the dollars that we had to almost gut the entire aquarium and rebuild it. I think our contractors would rather had leveled it and start over again after they found out getting in there what was involved. But we were able to use the dollars locally too. We do everything we can for whatever money we spend to hire local contractors and local architects and local engineers. Since the support from you guys are so great, we really want to try to pull that back into it. So we're pretty excited to announce we thought the aquarium would be done and open in September, but with some of the delays in materials and all, we are now looking at a March 2nd, I believe, opening date. You'll start seeing some information come out about it. I know our members and those that visit have seen it be closed for a year and a half and are ready to see that open, but hopefully you'll get a chance when we do open to come see what the inside looks like. A good piece of the aquarium inside is going to give you the opportunity to see behind the walls of the laboratories that our keepers use to do a lot of their critical conservation work. You'll see some coral labs through the windows. You'll see keepers that will be doing, will do all types of different processes that will allow us to kind of change some of the genetics of coral that we're losing in the oceans that are also critically endangered, and grow our own coral that we eventually can help put back into the ocean. We, along with about 32 other aquariums, are on this project that we think can help restore this, the Florida reef tract coral that you may or may not have heard about is disappearing really quickly. We also have a new desert biome that allows you to, a shot of the desert biome. Those of you that are familiar with the aquarium, used to be the kind of humidity, high water area, and there's now a dry desert biome with some really cool animals that you wouldn't believe would be in the desert, including some birds as well too. So. In a quick little snapshot, I'm not going to bore you with too much, but you can see when we do have bonds and introduce some new exhibits and new attractions. In 2002 was the last opening of some big exhibits that we had right when I came on board. Attendance jumped to almost 1 million during that year when everything was open. Then the bond that followed that in 2011, you can see by the time we had everything open, that in 2017, 2018, we hit an all-time high of 1.4 million visitors. And you can see the trend rise as we continue adding something new for you to see when you come back. And this, the new bond is going to be a combination, probably close to about an $80 million investment over the next 10 years. And we expect our attendance to hit almost 1.6 million people, and that still makes us the largest visited attraction in the Southeast compared to any zoos from Florida all the way up to New York. So you ought to be proud of that, because that's a huge attendance number for what you would see in a population the size of Columbia. So we really feel that that investment will pay dividends with more jobs, reinvestment in the community for those that help develop the zoo, and also provide that quality of living that we expect here in this area. In kind of a give back, or what we try to give back to the community, because a little bit of your tax goes to support the zoo, we offer free days to all the residents of Richland and Lexington County. As a matter of fact, we're in our Free Fridays for the next 2 months. So if you don't know about Free Fridays, or have some folks that want to come to the zoo, it's free to get in as long as you're a resident of Bristol and Lexington County. And we have some beautiful weather days in January and February, so do take advantage of that if you can. It's kind of our way to say thank you again for your investment, not only through your taxes, but also for being a member. And that's when we say, would you invest in the zoo? You're already doing it. You're visiting the zoo, buying tickets, you're bringing friends and guests out, you come to the lights, you come to boo at the zoo. Those are the things that help us generate the dollars needed to support some of the private sector along with the public dollars that we get as well too. And the last few things I wanted to say, while we are talking about what's in the future, what's happening right now, we recently had a baby koala. They don't come often, but Charlotte, who is a first-time mom, just delivered not too long ago. I was talking to Tom from Columbia College. He's hitting us hard about a naming contest because he's got a perfect name for it. And I just have to tell this joke. So do you guys know why koalas aren't bears? Some of you may think they're bears, but you know why they're not bears? Because they didn't meet the qualifications. So the baby Joey is out. There's a naming contest that we're working on to come up with a really cool name. And you can see the baby in the koala exhibit if you come by. In addition, he recently announced a baby meerkat. Our meerkat exhibit has kind of been shrinking, and we finally found the right breeding pair, and we're going to have multiple meerkats. This is the first one. We're pretty excited about having the meerkat. It's out and rolling around too, and some pretty fun facts along with that you'll read when you get to the zoo as well. And I think the last thing, just to remind you about Free Fridays, so please take advantage of that. Please thank your council members for supporting the zoo the way they do. Thank you guys for your support, and then I noticed the elected officials here too from Joe Wilson's office as well too. The state's been really stepping up too and helping support the zoo as well too, and we thank you all for that, and appreciate you being members, appreciate you visiting, and if I have any time left, I'll be glad to take some questions, or I can answer some. I'll stick around if you'd like.
Will the new Riverwalk extension come through it or around it?
So the Riverwalk is already established behind the zoo, and part of what we're going to incorporate is allowing those that are walking the river to access the zoo or the garden via that bridge, as well as that restaurant, and that seems to have captured a lot of people's interest. Fortunately, we're one of the few properties that are right on the river that have the ability to add a beautiful deck with something to eat. And so our intentions are, if you're walking along that deck, to be able to access the restaurant and maybe have some snacks or adult beverages along the way at no charge. We're trying to figure out how we would keep the two separate from the zoo, but that's our goal because it would be a pretty cool place to stop and have something to eat or drink. But if you haven't walked on the Riverwalk behind the zoo, it's open right now, and the next step is there'll be the Boyd Foundation's partnering with Bridgeland to jump across the Broad River with a beautiful bridge, which will then connect downtown to the Riverwalk and eventually up to the dam once the Carolina Crossroads project is safe enough to start. So did that help?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I heard you say that we lead the Northeast and Southeast attendance. Where does that stack us up nationally?
So nationally, it's funny, depending on how you look at, if you're looking at attendance levels, we're in the top 10 in the country in terms of visited zoos. Animal collections, some people look at as, Riverbanks finds a really good zoo, and we're in the top 20 in terms of the number of animals we have in our collection. It's interesting, we lead the United States in zoos with membership households. We have over 50,000 households in the area, and that is huge. Somebody like a Bronx Zoo or Zoo Miami have around 30 to 35,000 households. That shows you the kind of support that you guys have given the zoo over the years, and hopefully the product, the animals, the conservation work we do makes you want to come back or makes you want to join, and obviously joining allows you to come unlimited number of times and really pays for itself after 2 visits. So yeah, depending on and now I've seen also some new polls that are readers' choice polls based on those that have visited other zoos, and we seem to stack up in that 10 to 20, and I think we've been ranked as high as 4 based on opinion from Yelp, who said that the experience was really good because you can do a lot in a matter of 2 or 3 hours since we're a small zoo, but yet we have a lot to see and do. One more.
How
Yes,
about telling me about the restaurant and what you plan to do with that and any additional meeting space that you might be planning there?
The restaurant that everybody seems to be interested in, the goal for us was to, we have some pretty cool concession areas, and it's an expensive proposition, but the rental space for weddings, for corporate events, as we know, seem to be, especially with a view like that, a popular request. So we're looking at building it to be more of an event space, but during the daytime would be a more snack stand, a beverage center, a shaded area that would be open to not only the guests in the zoo, but anybody that's walking up and down the river walk as well too. But we really think in the evenings, because we do a lot of weddings in the garden, and that we book up, but we really think that the deck, that's why we're trying to make this deck as big as we can, to be able to accommodate the views on that river, because as you know, it's hard to get to the river, to see the river, and fortunately the Riverwalk's been able to open a lot of that up for the community, and we think this could be an added bonus as well. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you.